Good morning and welcome to this press briefing and unveiling of a very special product. We are talking about the KIIRA EV Smart. I think that deserves a round of applause. Just saying those words. I know many of you in this room have met before. Maybe this is the first time you've had an opportunity to meet one another, to see people in the room that you wanted to meet. I'm going to give you an opportunity right now for you to say hello to one or two people that you haven't had an opportunity to. Go around, this is your opportunity. If you have never spoken to Mr. Heshem De Silva, I'm giving you permission to go and introduce yourself to him. In a few years, God willing, inshallah, as they say, that we are going to see a mass production of this vehicle in East Africa, which is going to change the landscape and the market for vehicles forever. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Derek Banga, and of course I'm going to be your MC and your host for this morning, but today is not about me. Today is about this wonderful vehicle, and I want to draw your attention to yesterday's Daily Nation in the business section, which said, Uganda beats Kenya in race for homemade hybrid vehicle. I'm just giving it out there. I'm not here to start an international diplomatic incident. Certainly not. And I'm sure Her Excellency and certainly the people from KIIRA Motors will come up here and talk about how this is an East African venture. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a few things to get through today. So without any waste of time, I am going to call up Miriam Mukasa, who is the Managing Director of Africa Talent Bank. Africa Talent Bank, in case you did not know, is a digital recruitment company. It utilizes web, mobile applications, video, and social media to identify and recruit top talent, as you can see, as well as international clients. Miriam's background is long. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. She has over 14 years recruitment experience, including 10 years as part of the recruitment team at Cancer Research UK. She's of course lived in the UK and in Western Europe. She's worked for Regent Pacific Corporate Finance in London. She's a graduate of Sussex University, has a BA in economics. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the lady of the moment.
I hope you can all hear me. First of all, Your Excellency, Angelina Wapakabula of the Ugandan High Commissioner to Kenya, the COO, Chief Operations Officer of Kenya Motors Operation, Albert Okabuku. Then we've got the Senior Legal Officer, Uganda Development Corporation, and Pauline Among. We've also got the Principal Electrical Engineer, Electrical Officer of KIIRA Motors, who will also speak, Arthur Tumusime, and of course members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. So first of all, I would like to thank you all, and I would also like to thank you for your patience. Unfortunately, we have a few raindrops, and it seems traffic comes to a halt. But also today is a very exciting day for all of us. I do have to declare an interest, in the interest of disclosure. I am Ugandan, but this is not what it's about. And also in the interest of further disclosure, so is Derek. But this is not about Uganda, Kenya. It is about East Africa. This is what today is about. And I'm very excited because in terms of the KIIRA, we've been liaising with the team for about 2 years when it was just a green little prototype. And today, you know, I talk about East Africa, but really this is about Africa. Rather than debt, disease, disaster coming out, it would be nice if we also had an I, innovation. But really it'll be about East Africa. And that's one of the things we need to do, is not to limit ourselves. The East African market has hundreds of millions of people. It's a huge market. At the moment, we obviously talk about South Africa, Nigeria, but the fact that Kenya is described in the same breath as these countries, but really the hub of East Africa. But more than anything, with our natural resources, and I speak as someone within a background in HR, more important than any of the natural resources we have are the human resources. Whether it's the KIIRA team, or whether it's our young youth, or whether it's some of our bankers, venture capitalists, or engineers in the room at the moment. And this is the focus that today is about. It's all well and good having innovation, but you can't have that innovation without investment also in human resources. And may today also be not just about technology, but about the people. It's about collaboration, cooperation, but also the youth. And this is where Africa is so exciting. When you have the youth who are here, the brand ambassadors, without whom AfricaTalentbank.com would not exist. Despite the fact that there's often a 20-year age gap between myself and them, I also learn from them every day. And I always have to remember that they are very young. As bright as they are very young. And it is an exciting time to be in Africa, especially in East Africa at the moment. So what I want to do is, I don't want to take too much time. Thank Your Excellency for making the time. It's an absolute pleasure. It's an honor to have the KIIRA team. And we will also hear from representatives from both the government of Uganda, but also from Kenya in terms of the exciting Vision 2030. So we're very excited to have you here. All of you here are part of this family, whether it's the KIIRA family, the ATB family, or clients and partners of Africa Talent Bank, and I'm pleased to see that some of our clients are here as well. And so, if I could just now finish off by saying that today is an exciting time. We're here to celebrate innovation, and more important, we're also here to form partnerships, collaboration, and hopefully, lead the way forward in terms of East African success. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for your patience.
Of course, the KIIRA EV SMAC, you have to pronounce it by its full name. And hopefully that will be rolling off the tongue with the likes of Toyota and Nissan and all the other brands. So the KIIRA EV SMAC, of course, is part of the KIIRA Motors project from the KIIRA Motors Corporation. And who better to talk a little bit about how this project started, where it developed, than the principal electrical engineer. His name is Arthur Tumusime Asimwe. I met him yesterday. The man looks brilliant, even from 20 meters away. Arthur is the principal electrical engineer. He holds a master's in electrical engineering from Makerere. He has years of experience working for various motor vehicle plants in America, and certificates too many to mention. Suffice it to say, he is more than qualified. I hope this presentation will give you a better understanding of this project. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Arthur Tumusime Asimwe.
I would want to mention that the journey up to here was quite interesting, and as we are coming, I also learned something, and every day for me is a day to learn something. And I hope today we will learn something new as I make my presentation, as we discuss. Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of Uganda to Kenya, in our Bakabro, distinguished dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today privileged to share with you the journey of the KIIRA Motors project since its inception and the vision the project has to commercialize the KIIRA vehicle technology in the greater African region. As the introduction was made, my name is Arthur Tumusime Asimwe. Having been with this project since its inception in 2007, and I'm pleased to have met in our audience here Dr. Haywood Ouma, who mentored us in the university. was an honor for me to have seen him in this audience, and I hope some of the things I'm going to say can testify. What can we do to make contribution in this industry? Or what can we do? So a group of students joined the Massachusetts Institute of Technology-led Vehicle Design Summit, whose aim was to build and bring to market the Vision 200. And being part of the iLabs team, we are privileged to be part of that consortium that constituted of over 500 scholars and over 31 universities around the world, Makerere being one of them. Now, each of these teams was given a component to build on this car. I do apologize for the quality of the picture because this is a historical picture. That time, we couldn't have had a professional cameraman to take such a photo. Now, each university was given a responsibility to build a system of this car, which was supposed to be for the Indian market. It was given the role to build the in-vehicle communication and low-power electronics. This car was built, or the build event took place between September 22nd until November 24th of 2008 in the automotive design capital Turin in Italy. Now, our professor, Sunday Stevens Ikodri Togboa, was the mentor of the team at the time, who traveled with them to Italy. Now, on returning back, the professor said what we've seen and what our contribution has been on the Vision 200 cannot just be put on the shelf. We have to do something. So a center for innovation was set up, and a team was charged to build a two-seater electric vehicle. We chose a two-seater electric vehicle because, in our opinion, it would be something to do quickly and test or use the knowledge that you gain from the other experience rather than looking at a full vehicle and then you end up taking too much time. So we thought bringing the ideas of the plug-in hybrid, the Vision 200, which our students worked on, would be an easy way to leapfrog from there and build a two-seater electric car. Now, the building of this car started in 2009, and it was unveiled in November the 24th by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and I must say it caught the attention of the world at the time, because every day we wake up and there is a story about the green car. And this is where we think the innovation came from, saying that we can use the outstanding innovative capabilities that we Africans have to also contribute meaningfully on the international market, so that we don't say those things are only for the Germans, those things are only for the Americans. Now, having realized the two-seater electric car, of course the team was lean at the time, but since then the KIIRA Motors, the other innovation center grew into the KIIRA Motors project, which is now supported by the government of the Republic of Uganda, and it has key objectives to build a flagship production vehicle. What we are seeing here with this team behind its making is a prototype. What you will see down here is that same car, and the team that we are having on ground is as big as this, but the team that we have here, I request that you stand up for recognition if you are still with us. At the moment, we haven't yet done the gender perspective. We haven't addressed it, but we are trying as much as possible to attract the other people to join us. And we are preaching the gospel that engineering is not only for the men. Women can also have meaning contribution. So far, the government has committed seed funding to ensure that we have this project take off up to a time where we can engage in public-private partnerships to ensure that we have sustainability for this project. We also, the project already has land up to 100 acres in the ginger industrial and business park. This project is under the Uganda Development Corporation, which is charged by championing the government investments. And that's why at this moment we recognize their contribution in ensuring that the operationalization of KIIRA Motors Corporation takes off. At the moment, consultations are going on to ensure that we have a fully-fledged government company which is owned by UDC at the moment, but time will come when maybe we'll be open to public-private partnerships. You'll agree with me that the journey from Kampala to Nairobi is long, but when it comes to the market that we are dealing with, we should know that the automotive industry has got a wide range of suppliers. We have the tier 1, we have the tier 2, we have the tier 3 suppliers. So we are saying the KIIRA Motors Corporation, or KMC, will be featuring at the original equipment manufacturer. What we are seeing is we'll be sourcing parts from tier 1, tier 2, up to tier 3. And our role at the moment would be to have the design of the car to meet international standards, and we do technology innovation, validation, and all other tests to ensure that at least we can have a car made here. At the moment, the worry shouldn't be where are we getting the parts from. Our worry should be at least can we also have these parts brought in based on our environment, and we have the cars assembled right here in the East African region. And we believe that the market is there for us to be able to compete with the players that are already in the market. The selling point for us would be we want to ensure that it is a low-cost car. Why are we saying this? When you look at the cost of importing the vehicle, there is that taxation part, the duty that you pay. If you invested that in a brand new car, you would be driving a car which is not as old as some of, look at some of the cars that are driven on the road and you wonder, if you invested this money, or if you got someone to partner with, to give you part of the funds and you pay in installments, so a financial plan, you can drive a brand new car. And we should have that pride of driving brand new cars. The KIIRA Motors Corporation, as we said, since 2012, in July, we started on the journey of defining the concept vehicle that should go into production. And we've gone through series of benchmarking visits, we've gone through tests, designs, simulations to ensure that the vehicle that is developed is for the African market. If I can use this example, when you look at for example, the Vitz, if you got a good grown-up African who is well fed, most likely you may not fit in more than 2 to sit comfortably. So we are saying you can use that amount of power to provide for enough space, looking at the demographics of our region. So we should be able to also design cars for our region. We shouldn't be worried about freezing, for example. That if you are buying a car and you are worried about freeze, the components you put in there must be for that. So when we are buying these cars, we pay that cost because of some of the components for the weather conditions that are in those regions. So we think that by July 2018, we should be having the first car running out of the KIIRA Motors production plant. And it should be driven by, it should be able to be owned by Africans, if we can have partners to ensure that at least if you pay a certain initial amount, then the financing plan can help you take pride in driving a brand new car. The future, what we are envisioning, what we think the investment should be to ensure that we have these cars produced. When you look at it, you also see the team behind the making of the KIIRA EV Smart, which is right here with us. What we are seeing here is the master plan showing all the supporting facilities for the production. This takes us through the view of the entire campus, starting from the entrance. When you come into the plant, when you visit some of the companies, even to go into the assembly plant, you pay money. So we should also be able to have infrastructure where if you are coming in, you want to go and see what is in there. So we think with this architecture, we should be able to have facilities like this on the production plant where someone shouldn't just come in. We should also have other ways of getting revenue for our production plant. So this takes us inside to show us what we are thinking. At the moment, what you are seeing is not yet on ground, but we think with proper investment, we should be able to have such machinery and equipment being able to produce these cars. And KIIRA Motors project is aimed at creating jobs. So we shouldn't see those machines in there and you say, hey, this will be fully automated. We are going to ensure, the outlook shows that we should be employing about 500 people in this complex. The Innovation Center, the concept behind it is that this started from a university. This was university research that brought out this concept. So we believe that at universities, we should empower students to come into the Innovation Center and, they spoil themselves. We should have facilities for them to simulate all engineering and non-engineering possibilities to ensure that when we are working on cars, they meet the requirements. Facilities like the virtual reality, where you are working on the car, but when it is actually in the virtual space. That will help us save on some of the investment. We have facilities like the mechanical workshop where most of the fabrication, joining will be taking place. Then we also have an area where people should be walking around, should walk around the assembly plant to see what is going on. We saw this in the Ford assembly plant, the Ford Rouge plant. You have to work on mechanisms to generate revenue for your plant, and that is one of the key things that we are also working on. We also look at industrial design studios where the designers come and model their things, including clay and so on and so forth. Not without saying there should be a state-of-the-art library, because at the end of the day, science, there is nothing so practical as science. And theory is based on what we read. So we need such facilities to ensure that our engineers do their work. On the same plant, we have the vehicle testing trucks. And these vehicle testing trucks help us to test facilities or components of the car. When the car has come out of the assembly plant, we look at what is the maximum speed you can get. If you have hills, what provision are you giving? How much power do you need for this car to move up the hill? What is the steering handling? So all these must be tested. And that's why we have this facility called the testing track. High speed, those of us who love racing, you should know the top speed of your car. We shouldn't just rely on simulations. Bump courses, I think they call African roads. Back home you find easy bumps. And you want to know if you've made your car, that when it goes on those bumps, are there some nuts that will fall down? So you need to have those tests done. And that's why we are having that facility called testing trucks. When the car comes out of the assembly plant, it should be subjected to some of the African conditions that we have, including potholes. You should know how the car performs when it is being driven in a pothole. So we also cater for the other side of the project, and we've noted that the bigger team here is actually full of engineers. And we need to bring out other players, and that's why we are here. If there are people who can do sales and marketing, I was not trained to do that. And I think I may not have done a good job marketing, but I think that's why we even have different courses being taught at universities, including the infirmary, so that we need nurses, we need doctors, be able to offer such services for our staff, or even people, or even the community around. It should be able to be accessed by all those stakeholders. Now, what is coming next is the team of the people behind the making of the KIIRA EV map. Some of their faces you recognize. Others are not with us, but physically, but I know in spirit they are with us today. Some of them are research assistants. We pick students from second year, third year, and fourth year to work with them. And maybe if I hadn't joined the project when I was still in third year, maybe I wouldn't have had such an opportunity to be here addressing such a distinguished audience. One other aspect we look at is the partnership with the local fabricators, and you see some of their faces here. These are not university students. We go out into the market, into where people own their garages, because personally I don't think I would apply fear on the car. There are people who are good at that, and we need to acknowledge that there are people who are good at certain things, and that is their skill. And that has helped us to also inform other stakeholders, especially the Ministry of Education, on the way of skilling Ugandans. And it shouldn't be only for the Ugandans. We should also look at the bigger picture. The skills shouldn't be everyone should be studying to go to the university. No, there are people who should be trained to do such skill. And we are proud to say that we are working with some of the people like Alex is seeing from a local garage, Joseph Kawoy. They are not at the university education level, but they played a big role in ensuring that we have such a. So those of us who are in the academia should embrace, should come up with the knowledge of knowing that we need not to only talk about science, physics and all that. You need to also look at the technical education. And I must say that personally I'm a beneficiary of technical education. So that's why if I had an opportunity to start talking about the aspect of technical education in the automotive industry, it would be another presentation for another day. As you saw, there are support staff. We also need to recognize their contribution. Because had we not had security, most likely they wouldn't have come up with the prototype that you will be seeing. Of course, like we know, there is always need to have management in whatever we do, and good leadership should be embraced all the time. So there is a team that worries about the management of the KIIRA Metals project, and these are the people you are seeing. For your audience, and I pray and I hope that what we will be discussing after this will be informed by what you've seen, what I've mentioned in the slides, and the future. We need to think about the future, not today. What we are seeing today, like my friend said today, what was portrayed in the press could have been interpreted differently, but we need to be working for the future. And I always conclude by saying that 50 years from now, I'll also be privileged to tell my grandchild that I made a contribution in building the East African economy. Thank you very much.
It would not be possible, of course, without the help from the Ugandan government. Of course, it is a project that is driven by the Ugandan government, and I would like to bring up here to just talk a little bit about this, the senior legal officer of the Uganda Development Corporation, which is implementing this particular project. So I'd like to invite Pauline Among to come up here and give her brief remarks. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. MC, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner of Uganda to Kenya, my president in Kenya actually at the moment, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute honor for me to stand here addressing you this morning. And I will not get into the detail of who UDC is. I'll just introduce UDC very briefly and link our contribution to the project and the perspective that the government of Uganda has through UDC to realize this very, very ambitious vision. As you could see from the video and Arthur's speech, this is an extremely ambitious project. Let you know that should there be parties that are interested in this and would like to talk to government in participating, UDC is open and you're more than welcome to come and be a part of this dream. Yes. I'll not conclude my remarks without giving reference to some of these countries that are now have gone a step higher in issues of development. Countries like Singapore, countries like China, who have statutory entities initiating development, initiating projects, initiating ventures, which then can be offloaded typically to the private sector to own. And that's our approach as UDC. It has been around for some time, then it went through seasons, and now it's back in the bomb. Thank you very much for listening to me.
And the Director of Social and Political Pillars with Vision 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Gituro Wanenga.
Thank you very much. Before I do the protocols, I have to come back to Pauline. Pauline, thank you very much for letting the cat out of the bag. But I really didn't mean what I said, that the government is a business. It's not a business at all. Business is good. Government is good. Quality control and supervision. However, no country can succeed without the government infrastructure. And I think that's something we have to leverage on. I was actually asked this morning when I can do something. So I was reading, not texting your copy there, trying to make my notes. I'm difficult at pronouncing the Uganda names, but Angelina, or protocols observed by a commissioner here. I'm told that you don't actually pronounce it as KIIRA. The Kenyans who are here, it's not KIIRA, it's Chila. I think that it is called Chila, and is where you have generated power, and that's why the team took the EV, electric vehicle, and there's another component of whatever other talking here about. But it's interesting, even reading yesterday's newspaper, the Business Daily, that's how the papers actually, the 4 states are here. They actually like it like that. Uganda beats Kenya, they'll put that kind of a thing. But perhaps I see it differently. I see a difference as a challenge. But if you actually been reading the papers, the 4 states that fix that, actually 2 weeks ago, we have a utility car, which is launched out, isn't it? And that utility car is costing 950,000 Kenyan shillings. Now, I find a lot of compatibility here that Kenya is having a utility car. Uganda is having a saloon car. That, to me, is actually bring the brains together, as opposed to being competition. Competition is good when it pushes to the next level. So my friend here, as he buys 2018, and I wish it could be earlier, I could buy earlier, we actually give you the utility vehicle. And if we can bring to the another part is a challenge. And for challenge, perhaps I'll be sharing with the President and the private sector, 5th and 6th. How can we combine the brains who can bring a utility car and the brains which can bring a selling car, are supposed to be a competition. And I'll give you some of the examples we have. Initiative which has happened in the region. Particularly, right now when we have the coalition of the willing, Rwanda, Kenya and Uganda. The first one is the visa. Right now you just need a single visa. You don't need as you were before. And you can see about a week ago, Tanzania is now on board. There are 2 but they're on board. And that's why you have cohesion. That's why you have synergy. Secondly, the SGR, the standard gauge line. Uganda is doing part, Kenya is doing its part, and that will connect well. The third one is the road network. We talk about the corridors. We talk about the RAPSIT, Lamu Port, South Sudan, all that corridor is connected. And fourthly, we talk of oil and gas. All that oil and gas is going to pass through this what you're bringing up. And some of the initiative, I wish I had some pictures I could share. By the way, when I look at the grille of this vehicle, it reminds me of a Romeo. And I think India, there's something to do with Italy. Arthur, you've mentioned first you're going to Italy. A car is actually identified by this. And something perhaps maybe you have borrowed from Alfa Romeo. I'm not sure. Oil and gas, very important how we utilize that. And even a point where Kagame was saying they would like to have shares in ports of Mombasa, Kenya Ports Authority. They even want to build their own container terminal because of the goods going through there. And then we need to utilize that data. I think I will challenge the team, 2018 is too far. It's too far. I think we can bring it earlier. Some of us might not be there 2018. And I also declare my interest here, I'm a Kenyan. But I want to share something with you, perhaps the future. And this perhaps disturbs you more than anything else. And I'll share with you, if we don't make or produce and sell, get it clear, don't make and sell, will remain poor. 3 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go to Dubai. I take a Kenya Airways flight from the airport here. 7 o'clock, you are going in there with your laptop, your briefcase, very civil. You go there, it arrives at about midnight. Coming back is 2 a.m. That vehicle, you cannot even get your boarding pass. Why? There are sacks and sacks and sacks of clothes from people from Burundi, from people from Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia. I asked myself, when we were going there, what did they take? They just took money. We call it Dukawara, Papa in Kenya. Dukawara. We are not adding value at all. As those who are here, Pauline, and I was going to have one more discussion, I'll hold you the weekend if you can't go back. I'll take you around in Nairobi. You see a lot of second-hand vehicles. They sit there, they wait for you to come and buy. They don't add value at all. But when you drive, the car ahead of you is Toyota. When you open your phone, it's Samsung. Why? They make and they produce. But as on the team, you must unpack the word make or produce. It must have quality, it has innovation, creativity, and it's affordable. You can do that, then you sell the car. But I can tell you in Africa, not in Kenya, not Uganda, not East Africa, in Africa, we'll already move from being poor if we can make and sell. Make and sell. If you buy these things, it won't work. Secondly, an initiative taken by the KIIRA Motors is not just Uganda, it's not just Kenya, it's not just Africa, it's Africa. It's Africa. You go see the economists, Africa is on the rise. And they tell you that. I think it's absolutely nonsense. The GDP doesn't tell us anything. 2 months ago, we actually rebased as a country. And the poor people are still working. You come from Europe, whatever, you don't see people working. You hit the airport here, most of us are working. We have not created wealth. I think to me, this is an initiative to create wealth. So I think it's important for us then to bring our brains and resources together. It's important to bring our brains and resources together. They are brilliant fellas who have come up with certain things. They are brilliant resources. There are a lot of resources. However, the journey is not easy. But the challenges, that's the beauty. The beauty of having challenges. And actually when you are trying to say that, yeah, we'll make a car, I agree with you, which has recognized the potholes. If you are missing the point, the roads must be good. And that is a responsibility we must take. We must take that race. We must take that pride of the Toyota. Anyone, they are there. Why can it be the KIIRA Motors which is there? So there will be such a fight of perception of our people. My MC here, if MC stood up, ask him how much, what percentage of Ugandan clothes is he wearing? Or each one of you, what percentage of your local clothes are you wearing? At least me, maybe 1%. You don't see any. So there will be that fight of our people of perception. This car, you can deny your car. The perception. We must change that mindset. How do you change that? As a government, and it's very clear we want to do, fine, let people import the Toyota, but charge them an annual 20% duty. 120%. If I get this car, charge 8%. We must protect our countries. If you read Korea, how Korea moved, and those who are Kenyans, look at the business daily of 9th of October, page 12 and 13. The Kenyans. Business daily of 9th October, page 12 and 13. How Korea, today, most of your cell phone are Samsung, LG. You go to your house, the TV is that. And you know Japan, they close their borders. The cheapest in the construction in this country, an opportunity to go to Taita Taveta on Tuesday. But as you drove, there were just cheapest second are coming. And I was like, God, this old money you somewhere is coming. The cheapest are Tata. Tata comes from India. India had to close its borders. Ugandan government, Kenyan government, we have to close our borders in terms of taxation. The perception will be very important within our people. I'll tell you that the competition will be stiff. You're telling a country, particularly Europe, that you cannot import their Land Rover because you are making your own. That's what you're telling them. You're telling the other part, no, you cannot do it because, and they are going to fight you to the tail. The way they fight you through the World Bank, they will fight you through the IMF, they will fight you any means they can. But how do we do it? Address the issue of bank quality. And in terms of it being efficient and cheaper. Third, last one, and this is why I wanted to have a weekend with Pauline, if she agrees, is the ownership. I think as we move forward, and I appreciate other the team, as we move forward, we must move it towards what we call equity. Equity. We local people must own. That ownership has a lot. It has to do with sustainability. It has to do with protection. Anybody, if I have shares in Sheila Motors and I see somebody messing up, I really protect it. We must find how we can package it. We can find how we put it in the Uganda securities market and people can buy equity. That's how we bring the ownership. And I think coming from the experience of the Nyayo car, coming with the kind of utility car we have, there are lessons we have learned, let's make better. And I think what perhaps in conclusion I can say, we have opportunity to get a saloon car, we have also an opportunity to get an utility car. And with those many remarks, out on the team, well done, we support you guys, and we start this way. And we from the government side will ensure that there's prevention treatment in terms of taxation. Thank you very much.
We still have our keynote speaker to come up, and I'm going to ask Miriam Mukasa to come and introduce Her Excellency to give her keynote address. Miriam, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, one point that was raised in terms of the actual product was quality. Because at the end of the day, it's all well and good being patriotic, but we have to have that quality, that German quality. And I know when I work with some of our clients who are German, you see the pride they have, but the attention to detail. And I know if I can say this in front of our young brand ambassadors, now you know why I always nag you. Because as far as I'm concerned, a graduate in Kenya or Uganda is just the same qualifications and standards as a graduate in Germany or from the US. So those are the standards by which I judge you. And that is why often you hear my voice down the phone telling you off. But I am very proud of you. Swiftly on, I would like to very briefly, because I understand we're running out of time, introduce Her Excellency, Angela Mapagabulo. So very welcome. And I know you work a lot in the community. You have a lot of social interest in the sense of the community as well, in terms of working with the HIV community. And obviously in business you can't just set up a car manufacturing company. Hopefully like Tata, we will also look at the community health issues and so forth. And so without further ado, Your Excellency, we're proud to have you here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Standing here this morning and seeing cross-generation, I'm probably the most senior, probably the youngest in age, you and I. Age is just a number.
But seeing the ambassadors, the brand ambassadors here, I know we do have a future in East Africa, in the continent, because I know, as you have emphasized, we are going to have quality, technologically sound answers for our region, which will be spearheaded by these young ambassadors we are seeing. The KIIRA team, yes, as Ugandans, K is CH. The KIIRA team from Uganda, which has the Chief Operations Manager, Albert Akovuku, then the Senior Legal Officer, Pauline Among. We have Arthur Tumusime, the Principal Electrical Officer, Miriam, Managing Director, AfricaTalentbank.com. We have members of the academia, and of course the students and the brand ambassadors. My neighbor and colleague who is seated next to me, Mr. Wainaina from Vision 2030, and I do know that we also have some colleagues from Venture Fund who are here with us today. Distinguished members from the press, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed with great pleasure that I join you here today for the grand launch event for KIIRA EV SMAC as part of the East Africa Partner States Tour, knowing that Uganda is one of the countries in the East Africa region and a leading trading partner with Kenya. KIIRA Motors project puts the East African region on the world map, and we know that currently Africa is the spotlight of the world, and over time the aim has been to change the continent from being a net importer to a net exporter and increase the amount of internal trade between ourselves and institutions in the continent. The KIIRA Motors project is an initiative of the government of the Republic of Uganda under the Presidential Initiative for Science and Technology Innovations Program and is implemented by the Uganda Development Corporation under the guidance of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. You have heard the project is aimed at establishing a framework for the commercial production of the KIIRA vehicle project, which will include, and we have seen a beautiful video of the dream that we have. It will include the flagship production vehicle, the KIIRA SMAC, production and support infrastructure, and the required structures for commercialization, which we were able to see on the video. Ladies and gentlemen, the total project commitment from the Ugandan government amounts to approximately $70 million for a period of 5 years from 2012 to 2017. The government has already allocated 100 acres of land at the Ginger Industrial and Business Park through the Uganda Investment Authority towards the implementation of this project. KIIRA Motors Corporation is fully owned by the government of Uganda through the Uganda Development Corporation, which also doubles as the investment and development arm of the government. International engagements for business capitalization are also ongoing and in many cases being championed by His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the cabinet. The need for homegrown, private and public mobility technology solutions with opportunities for job creations for the citizenry are the basis for the project's vision and mission. It has been emphasized here by our friend from Vision 2030 that it's not just a matter of producing, but we must ensure it is quality production, not anything less. The development of the Uganda automotive industry is a timely development intervention, and the Ugandan government is applauded for the early bird support and vision ownership. The commercialization of such capital-intensive technology requires meticulous attention with the right stakeholder mix, with clear roles and responsibilities. It is important that all stakeholders work together to ensure the timely realization of the KIIRA Motors Corporation. Our launch here today will be followed by presentations by the KIIRA team at the AfricaTalentbank Entrepreneurship Summit at the Kenyatta International Conference Center tomorrow, and the test drive later at the same venue. So those of you who are looking at placing your orders, just make sure you have come and witnessed the test drive. The KIIRA Motors project is the brainchild of the university research, which has been the model for innovations and economic growth in the developed countries. This project, therefore, will impact the economic reforms that are currently being undertaken in the respective East African states. And again, my colleague from Vision 2030 has actually told you about the various projects that are currently in place that definitely need technically sound support, which I can see will come through with the young ambassadors we have here. In conclusion, this event emphasizes the need for further cooperation and partnership between the member states in the region. As KIIRA produces the cars, they're not looking at Uganda. They are looking at the region, they are looking at the continent, they are looking at the world. I therefore add on to what Pauline said, to invite potential investors and partners to join Uganda in our ambitious project. We plan to have the first orders delivered by 2018. We also invite you to make pre-orders as early as 2016. So you will still be around. Very shortly, I'll be leading you to the car downstairs at the parking lot, and MC, due to the other engagements, we may need to have the question and answer session, which will probably make more sense after they have seen the car downstairs. And we will be able then to respond to questions and queries from there. With these remarks, I wish to now declare the KIIRA project officially launched in Kenya. Thank you.
As soon as she's done, This is the KIIRA car being launched in Nairobi, Kenya.
Banja Mwamba, Banja Mwamba. Banja Mwamba, 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 Banja Mwamba. Jamo Mwamba, Jamo Mwamba. Jamo Mwamba, 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 Jamo Mwamba. I am.